Hi there, I'm Weasel, and today I thought I would try something out. This video is going to be a speed paint, but also like a video essay. Basically, while I'm drawing, I'll be talking about my experience with Red Dead Redemption 2. If you hear a bell in the background, my cat decided like now is the perfect time to come and like start grooming and stuff, so that's him. And I'm sorry. Um, let's get started. So, I'm a bit of a horse girl. I grew up in rural Texas. I got my first horse when I was entering my teens, and I still have him. My first video game was, and don't laugh, or actually you can laugh, I don't care, Barbie Horse Adventures Wild Horse Rescue for the PlayStation 2, but that's a video for another day. Heard the cat. A little bit of lore here. I've only played part of the first Red Dead. It never really grabbed my attention, probably because I had the ending spoiled for me and I already know how I tend to fixate on characters that I care about. I mean, I literally cried for half an hour at the end of Final Fantasy 15, like, literally. For some context, I knew that John Marston had been part of a gang, and he was trying to make up for the sins of his past, so he and his family could live in peace. That's the redemption part. The dead part, well, that's sort of self-explanatory. As I mentioned, I knew that John was doomed from the start, so I guess I was reluctant to get to know him. I think the farthest I actually got in the game was when you go to Mexico to find Javier Escuella, where I promptly bought a donkey and became completely sidetracked from anything remotely resembling the main story. I was never to pick it up again. Despite that, I still had access to Red Dead when the sequel was announced. At least, we thought it was a sequel until more information came out. I remember being excited to play it, especially when I heard about the detail they were putting into the horses. No, not that detail. Anyway, when I finally did get to sit down and play Red Dead 2, it had already come out on PC. A little late there, but that's kind of what I do anyway. My friend, whose computer I was playing it on, was already miles ahead of me by the time it was my turn to play, but he's good enough not to spoil anything. Starting the game, it didn't take long for me to get really attached to Arthur. In fact, as soon as he said his first line, I was ready to fight and die for him. Yes, I'm being dramatic. Get used to it if you want to finish this video. Please subscribe. To get to the point, Red Dead Garlic Bread 2 came to me just when I needed it most. See, quite early in 2019 I had already been through a lot of rough stuff. Dark Souls helped me through some of the grief, but that's another video for another time. If Dark Souls helped me with the grief, then Red Dead helped me to see that no matter what kind of person you are, you can always choose to be better. Groundbreaking, I know, but let's talk about Arthur. My buddy Arthur did some pretty terrible things. He's not lying when he's constantly telling everyone he's a killer. I guess I should mention that I played him the honorable way, and of course you can choose to be moral or immoral, but I'm the kind of person who cries when I pick the mean option. I literally quit out and loaded a previous save when I accidentally antagonized Lenny. But yes, Arthur is already a bad guy when you, the player, come into the picture. It's canon that he beat a man nearly to death over some money. He has killed people, and he continues to kill people as you play the game. As players, we don't really think about all the NPCs we take down in scripted shootouts, but looking at it from Arthur's perspective, yeah, those were people, and yeah, he's used to killing them. So, I've never killed anyone, but sometimes, yeah, I do feel like a pretty terrible person. We all say things we don't mean, sometimes because we're angry, sometimes because we want other people to hurt the way that we hurt. Sometimes we feel like bad things happen to other people because we allow them to happen. If only I had done something different is still a phrase that keeps me up some nights. That's the phone ringing, I'm so sorry. For a long time last year, I was weighed down by a ton of guilt. I won't bore you with the details, but the fact is I felt awful. Getting to play Red Dead 2, getting to live vicariously through this outlaw was a really great way to work out some of that guilt. I remember I used to speak about myself the way that Arthur speaks about himself, especially when he looks in the mirror. Do you remember that? Calling himself an ugly bastard and just generally not being very nice. And I remember telling Arthur to stop that because I adored him right up to the end. And it was like, why am I so nice to this fictional man who can't even hear me when I can't be this nice to myself? I'm not saying this game was the only reason I started to love myself a little more, I'm just saying it sure helped a lot. As someone who used to be suicidally depressed, I have to say this changed my perspective on life and death quite a bit. I mean, what would you do if you found out you only had about 6 months left? See, I could get into my fear of dying, how the chill of my own mortality and overactive imagination are the reasons I have to sleep with the TV on, but that's as into it as I'm gonna get right now. Just know that it's something that bothers me every time it's quiet and there's nothing to distract me. That's another reason I like games and movies so much, I guess, and why I spend so much time analyzing and picking them for details. I noticed that Arthur was coughing a lot in the cutscenes. I didn't bring it up until the mission with the giant gator in the bayou, but my friend just shrugged it off. It's just a cough. I remember narrowing my eyes suspiciously. The part of the game that really stuck with me was directly after Arthur finds out he has tuberculosis. During the doctor visit, I remember turning to my friend with the little knowledge I had about tuberculosis, and I was like, I guess in that time there's no cure for it? And he's like, yeah, he's got like a year. And I turned back to look at Arthur and I just felt terrible. Maybe he deserved it for the way he beat that man, but I didn't want him to die. Something I really like about this game, something that I don't see a lot in other stories, is that the characters face consequences for their actions, especially Arthur. In other stories, we might expect some divine intervention where the hero is miraculously saved at the last moment. That doesn't happen here. No matter what you choose, Arthur dies and you have to watch. But what really stuck with me, like I said, was right after the doctor visit. Arthur gets up and walks out. The streets are empty to him. Saint Denis is bathed in golden light. A buck crosses his path. It's all so quiet, so peaceful. Arthur's letting it sink in. Honestly, I think if I was in his position, the same thing would happen to me. And it's just this moment of grim serenity, but it really made an impact. We get to play as Arthur before he gets the bad news. We get to play as Arthur after it too, and the game is far from over when you find out he's sick. I remember when Charles told Arthur that he was lucky in a way. He knows he's going to die, and he has time to make amends. Rockstar puts it to you, the player, to choose whether or not he does. It's like Charles says, we can die at any moment. So what about me? What kind of person do I want to be? Someone like Micah or someone like Charles? And what about you? I know life isn't this black and white, but let's just pretend for the sake of this video, yeah? What I like about this game isn't just the big old Shire horse I decided to keep at the beginning, or the gun customization, or even the characters in it. It was how it changed my perspective on life. There's so much more I could go into with this game. Trauma, the cost of revenge, toxic relationships, selfishness, loss, but in the end, it all comes down to this. We're all going to die, but we're alive right now. It's up to us to decide the person we're going to be. And it doesn't take a lot to be good and to make the world a little better. Sure, there are grand gestures, donating money and food, going out of our way to help a stranger, but there are so many little things that are free, and they're really a great place to start. Kindness to animals, smiling at people as you pass them, maybe saying hello, little things like that can really make a difference. I think I was already on my way to loving myself the way I deserve to be loved, but games like Red Dead Redemption 2 gave me a big push. I hope that by sharing some of this positivity and perspective here, I can help some of you guys who might be struggling with similar stuff. So, thanks for sticking around to the end, and if you would like to see more content from me, just hit the subscribe button, the bell, leave a like if you enjoyed this video. That really helps. You know the drill. I remain Weaselbug. Okay, but I'm not even joking. I would actually fight and die for Charles. Like, hello.